Simmie Cobbs is one of those cautionary prospects to me, and also a frustrating prospect. If you watched his Ohio State game in 2017, it ranks up there as what I feel like, to me anyways, going up against Denzel Ward and that Ohio State defense, that Ohio State secondary, as one of maybe the 10 best single performances by a prospect in a game this past college season. I mean, it was that good. You watch him in that game, and you're like, he looks like a first rounder. This dude is a beast. He could wreck stuff when he got to the NFL. I mean, this is not hyperbole. This is not over-exaggeration. This is not any of these things. I mean that. And you see a lot of people when they talk about Simmie Cobbs, they bring up the Ohio State game, the Ohio State game, the Ohio State game, and they automatically assume that what he did there would translate through the rest of the season, or more so that automatically means that he could stick at the NFL level, that it translates to the NFL level, that he will be a big-time player at the NFL level. And if you only watch that Ohio State game and you watched it on a loop and you watched him over and over and over again, you'd be hard-pressed not to think so. And I could not blame you for thinking so, because he clearly looked the part. But that's the thing with Simmie Cobbs to me, is he looks the part, but he doesn't necessarily always play the part. And you have to be careful not to get caught up with what he did against Ohio State and automatically assume that means the things that he does as a player translate well as a prospect to the NFL level, because in my opinion, I'm concerned that they don't. And I'm really not sure that they do. He's a bigger wide receiver. He's got the frame to play outside. And he showed at times, like in that Ohio State game, that he could use his body well, that he could get enough separation, and he could make some big plays happen. In large part because of that size, he's got a big catch radius. He really high points the ball well. He can make those tough contested catches. He can fight through defensive backs. He can adjust through to the ball. So there is definite upside there as a go-get-it type of red zone target at the NFL level. There is absolutely that type of potential there, because he can. I mean, he showed that in his college career, that he had that type of ability. And again, when you're talking about a guy of his size, not going to be the quickest or fastest, you got to find other ways to do it. Even if he didn't create a lot of separation sometimes, he could still make some spectacular, tough catches. I mean, you watch the Ohio State game, you watch some of the other games that he played, he can make some of those big-time catches like a number one wide receiver, like a big-time wide receiver. So you get caught up in that. You look at a big dude that can go up and get it, that can win with some physicality, make spectacular catches, and there's some sex appeal there. But then you dig a little deeper. You realize he missed the majority of 2016 with an ankle injury. Now, granted, he made it through 2017 unscathed, but there's concern, from a durability standpoint. You just came back from missing almost an entire season of football. Teams will be worried maybe about the condition of that ankle going forward. I'm not as concerned about that, though, as I am other things. He was once suspended for practice habits. Now, think about that. Not for anything else, but practice habits. So that calls into question dedication to the game, love for the game, work ethic. That's a bad look. And even if you say, hey, what you do at 18, 19 years old compared to what you do at 21, 22 can be night and day. I completely agree. But to me, it's there. And it's not a good look. It's like these poor men and women that have felonies on their record. And they've been out of prison for years. But yet all of these employers sit there and ask them, do you have a felony or a drug-related misdemeanor or something like that, or some type of violent themed misdemeanor? It won't automatically exclude you from consideration. But once they answer yes, they're screwed. And if they answer no, eventually they're found out to be lying and they're screwed. So they're screwed either way. And that's the reality of it. You're judging them based off of stuff that happened when they were younger. Like, imagine thinking about, if you're at an age range like me, I'm 37, thinking about how we were at 18 compared to how we even were at 24, 25. There's a lot of difference there. We were even 18 to 21, 22 as the reality of adulthood really starts to set in. But for a guy like Simmie Cobbs, those things matter, even if it's something that happened a couple of years ago. When you're talking about investing the type of money that teams invest in draft picks, you want to know that they want it. You want to know that they love it. And seeing a guy get suspended for that is a concern. Then, this past offseason, getting arrested for resisting the law. What was it, at some whack-ass concert? I mean, another example maybe of not exercising good judgment. And when you look at a guy, it's one thing if these guys are coming into the league, going through the draft process, and they've had some bugaboos in the past, they've had some mistakes, but they're like really super mega talented. Let's be honest, the reality of the world, teams are going to put up with more of it the more talented you are. I look at the Giants and I say if Odell Beckham Jr. was a 6th or 7th round pick type of talent coming out of LSU and he had some of the stupid crap that he'd long since been cut. But he's a superstar. He was a 1st round pick. You shouldn't be cutting him over dumb crap like that. Just saying. There's no way. But, again, when you're Simmie Cobbs, you're not that Odell Beckham Jr. type of talent. So you're getting in trouble off the field. You're getting in trouble with the coaching staff. It's kind of a bad 1-2 combination. Not the most egregious and serious of things in the grand scheme of life, but when we're talking about football, it's important. Also looking at him, he was a guy that, after watching the Ohio State game, I thought I was going to watch him dominate the rest of 2017. I thought I was going to see a guy that made big play after big play after big play, that was playing himself into potential 1st or at least worst case scenario 2nd round consideration, and I didn't see that. I saw a guy plenty of other times that struggled to separate, didn't win physically as much as I thought he was going to, and his route running was not good. He needs to improve that significantly, and I just don't know if it's there. I just don't. So you've got some potential questions about work ethic. You've got some questions off the field in terms of decision-making and judgment. A little bit of the durability concern. Route running needing significant improvement. Concerns about being able to get separation. Not always playing up to his speed or his size, and his physicality. Not being a very quick or fast guy. Those are not just concerns. Those are major concerns. And like I said, if you watch him against Ohio State, only against Ohio State, and you fell in love with what you saw at Ohio State, you're going to think I'm nuts and have him rated much higher than I do, and I get that. But to me, if you watch the rest of the season and you treat that Ohio State game as just one game and possibly his best game of the season, but not the be-all, end-all of everything that he is, and you factor in some of that other stuff, to me, he's barely draftable. And I don't really feel like he helped himself tremendously at the combine either, just based off of what we saw. So I've got a 5th round grade on him. Kind of splitting the difference a little bit there. Yeah, that Ohio State game was enticing. But we're going to talk about one game? It was just one game. Dude needs a lot of work. And I just don't know if the athletic upside is there to justify anything other than a mid to late day 3 pick where you potentially hide him on your practice squad a year or two and maybe somebody else poaches him off of your practice squad, or you try to give him a shot and he may or may not make it.